in the heart of the vast Blackwood National Forest. A place of mist-shrouded trees and ancient secrets, a young man's life was about to be shattered. This isn't just a story about the wilderness. It's a story about how the wilderness itself can fight back to expose a dark truth. Meet Mateo Cruz, a 22-year-old indigenous student. He's passionate, sharp, and spending his summer doing what he loves most, tracking endangered wildlife. Mateo is also a volunteer firefighter, a protector of these lands in every sense. But his dedication has put him on a collision course with a powerful man. That man is Chief Ranger Silas Thorne. To the outside world, he's the guardian of the park. In reality, he views Blackwood as his personal kingdom. Thorne is territorial, harsh, and has a very close relationship with the regional park superintendent, who is pushing for a controversial logging expansion. Mateo, with his deep knowledge of the forest, has been vocal in his opposition to the logging contract, and Thorne has taken notice. The stage is set at Camp Hawk, a remote outpost deep in the forest, one crisp autumn morning. As Mateo prepares his tracking gear, the silence is broken by the rumble of a truck. Chief Ranger Thorne pulls up, his face a mask of hostility. "Cruz," he begins, his voice cold, "you've been talking out of turn about the timber contract. This is my park. You're done." Mateo, though intimidated, stands his ground. "I have a right to speak on environmental issues. Chief, my work here is funded by a university grant." But Thorne isn't here to argue. In a flash of violence, he lunges, grabbing Mateo and slamming him against the hard, corrugated side of a supply truck. The impact is brutal, fracturing two of Mateo's ribs. As Mateo gasps for breath, crumpled in pain, Thorne's cruelty escalates. He deliberately kicks over the small camp stove, sending glowing embers scattering toward a pile of dry leaves, a clear act of arson in the making. "You're not hurt," Thorne sneers, completely ignoring Mateo's agony. "You are, however, going to be charged with felony poaching and arson." I found this from his own pocket. Thorne pulls a handful of old eagle feathers, a sacred gift from Mateo's grandfather, and scatters them on the ground. He then plants an expired illegal snare taken from a seized evidence locker near the edge of the campsite. Thorne's trap is set. Within the hour, local deputies arrive, called in by Thorne. Based on the fabricated scene, Mateo is arrested. He's charged with major federal offenses that carry years in prison. His reputation is destroyed, and his dream of working on federal lands is turned into a nightmare. Thorne's official report is a work of fiction, claiming Mateo resisted arrest and was caught red-handed with illegal traps. For Silas Thorne, it's a perfect crime. He has silenced his critic and sent a chilling message to anyone else who might dare to challenge him. But every kingdom has its weaknesses. Mateo's only hope lies with Evelyn Evie Bell, a brilliant and wonderfully eccentric private investigator who specializes in environmental crimes. Evie understands that in the deep woods, where there are no cameras, the environment itself is the only witness. She can't rely on technology. She has to read the story written in the soil, the trees, and the traces left behind. Eve spends 2 weeks in the wilderness, turning the remote campsite into her forensic laboratory. She doesn't look for what's there. She looks for what shouldn't be, and she finds the key to unraveling Thorne's lies in 3 microscopic biological details. First, the soil contradiction. Thorne's report claimed he found the illegal snare during the arrest, but Evie, a master of her craft, collects soil samples from beneath the rusted trap. Back in the lab, analysis reveals the undeniable truth. The snare had been buried in that exact spot, undisturbed, for at least 3 months. The specific soil compaction and the unique fungal growth beneath the metal were like a timestamp, proving the snare was planted long before Mateo was ever there. It couldn't have been his. Next, the rib impact signature. A forensic doctor confirms Mateo's fractured ribs are consistent with a high-force impact against a hard, grooved surface. Eve returns to the supply truck. She meticulously photographs and measures a distinctive scuff mark on the corrugated metal panel. She cross-references the height, the angle, and the shape of the mark with Mateo's medical profile and the doctor's report. It's a perfect match. The truck itself silently testified that it was the weapon used to injure Mateo. Finally, there's the feather trail. This was Evie's masterstroke. The eagle feathers Thorne found were supposed to be fresh evidence. But under a microscope, Evie discovers they are coated in an unusual synthetic polymer residue. This is the clue that connects everything. After countless hours of research, she traces the polymer to one specific source: the non-slip floor matting used exclusively in the secure evidence locker at the Ranger headquarters. Thorne's headquarters. The feathers weren't found in the woods. They were planted from inside Thorne's own building, carrying the chemical fingerprint of their origin. Armed with this mountain of irrefutable scientific evidence, geological, medical, and Trace Mateo's legal team goes on the offensive. They file a federal lawsuit against Thorne for malicious prosecution and civil rights violations. They argue that Thorne had weaponized the very environmental laws he was sworn to uphold, all to settle a personal score and pave the way for illegal logging. The trial is a battle of science versus deception. Thorne's carefully constructed lies crumble under the weight of Evie's findings. The testimony about the 3-month-old snare, the perfect ribby-height scuff mark on the truck, and the traceable polymer from the evidence locker floor dismantle Thorne's official report piece by piece. The jury sees the truth written in the evidence. They find Chief Ranger Silas Thorne liable for malicious prosecution and award Mateo a large settlement. But the story doesn't end there. Faced with the undeniable forensic proof, the U.S. Attorney's Office is forced to act. They bring criminal charges against Thorne. Cornered and with his reputation in tatters, Thorne resigns. To avoid a lengthy federal trial he knows he'll lose, he pleads guilty to official misconduct and tampering with evidence. The man who saw the park as his kingdom is sentenced to 2 years in federal prison. As for Mateo, his name is cleared, and his spirit is unbroken. He uses his settlement and his restored reputation not just to heal, but to fight. He returns to the Blackwood National Forest, no longer as a seasonal volunteer, but as a powerful and respected advocate for its protection. And in a final triumphant act of justice, he successfully helps stop the logging contract, ensuring the forest that witnessed his ordeal would remain wild and free for generations to come. Thank you so much for watching. This story shows that sometimes the quietest witnesses tell the loudest truths. If you found this story as compelling as we did, please hit that like button, subscribe to our channel, and ring the notification bell so you don't miss our next video. We'll see you in the next one.